Hello, my fellow humans. We are all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. We do things differently here on this channel. So triggering statements may arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers are a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. Now, your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. And should the messages happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. So today we are looking into what did they secretly think when they first saw you. This could be for anybody on your mind. I am gearing this towards romance though, so someone you might have a crush on or someone you like that way, but it could be anybody, right? So just keeping that in mind, and then, you know, just not taking the romantic energies that do come out. But I have this in mind to be geared towards somebody romantic, somebody that you're interested in, or somebody that you feel like could be interested in you, okay? So let's go ahead and hop to our prayer and get this underway. All right. My beloved source, this prayer is for anyone and everyone who comes onto this reading, whether it's for a moment's time or for the entire time. Today, I ask that you help us become comfortable in our skin, become comfortable in this place where we are, knowing that it is exactly where we need to be, that everything is unfolding in divine timing, and it is as it should be. Today, I ask that you help us turn our sadness, our fears, our sorrow, our hurt, our pain, even our anger and our fears, whatever it is that's arising right now, into positive action for us moving forward on our journey, helping us to recognize where we might be giving our power away, or where we're maybe diminishing our light in order to better fit in or to try to be understood by others. Remind us in concrete ways that it's not for others to understand us, but for ourselves to see ourselves and understand ourselves fully. And that's what this journey is truly about. So today I ask that you give us the courage to face the inner part of ourselves, the part that we might have run away from, the part that we might be trying to hide because we feel like it's too much, or that nobody wants to see that side of us, or that nobody likes that part of us. Help us face the part of our own inner being that is saying that to us, the voice that has been convincing us of that for so long, recognizing that this in and of itself is the illusion. Today I ask that you help us to stand courageous and strong, and to know that in this here and now here moment, we truly are enough. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of being understood. We are worthy of being seen. We are worthy of love, admiration, kindness, and compassion. And if we're not receiving these in the physical realm, I ask that you give us concrete evidence that you are our rock as we continue to move forward in this 3D realm. As these words are spoken upon this tribe and onto this reading today, so shall they be. Amen. Aho. Ase. Thank you, thank you, thank you, my beloved source. Thank you. All right, let me take a drink. Woo, I was thirsty. Yeah, okay, so today we are looking into this with the Spiral Oracle, and this is by Lily, I can never remember her name, Lily Acuna. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. But these are beautiful cards. I will have to look at them off camera to ensure that they are camera appropriate, because there are some very, very risque cards in this deck. But the art is artwork on these is absolutely gorgeous. Every card is phenomenal. Highly recommend, if you're a collector, to add this to your collection. It's such a beautiful deck. So let's find out, what did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? What oracle card will help us better understand this message today? What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Okay, thank you, Source. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Okay. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? All right, pile one. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? What spiral oracle card will help us better understand this message? Thank you, Source. All right. Pile number two. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Source, what oracle card will help us better understand this message? Thank you. All right. Pile number three. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Thank you. Okay, let me check this card. Yeah, so I cannot show this card on the camera because it is incredibly, let me do this. It's too risque, but on the bottom we do have sacred sexuality. I'm just covering it up because it is a very, very X-rated image. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna put it like this. We'll put it here. So, you know, this is an interesting card because it's showing and it's pointing to the fact that they really were very physically attracted to you. And that was what they were secretly thinking. What would it be like to take you to bed? What would it be like to connect with you physically in this way? But there was also something much deeper to it as well. So I feel like as they conversed with you and you guys continued to get to know one another, it became something deeper than that. And this, of course, all in the first meeting. So when they first saw you, it was an immediate physical attraction. It was very visceral for them. It was almost as if there was something inside of them that was lit on fire. Like, oh my gosh, this is my person, or this is the type of person that I really want in my life. Like, this is the person I want to go behind closed doors with. But with sacred sexuality, we also have this, there's something very five-dimensional about this, that again, it's very spiritual, it's very otherworldly, and so they feel like you connected on many different levels when they first saw you. It was as if they were getting initiated when they first saw you, and in some cases that's a really, really good energy, and in other cases it could have been incredibly overwhelming and they didn't know how to handle that, and they would have shut down, right? Because that would have been, that initiation can either help us to grow or it can become the bane of our existence, right? And it's just depending on where people are on their journey and how open they are to self-actualization and self-awareness. And so I'm not just going to say that every person here is going through that. Like, I'm so glad that I met you. Like, I'm so glad that, you know, like, you're making me face myself, because that's not true. There's going to be an equal amount of people who are like, I cannot believe that they came into my life and now my life is completely in tatters. It's just blown up. Things have been happening and I don't know what to do. I feel like everything's falling apart. So there's some that are curious as to what has happened since meeting you, but then there are others who are equally angry for having met you because they blame you for their own trauma that they have to face. And you know, it's like, innocence is bliss, or ignorance is bliss until we know, right? And that's a part of the journey. And please don't take that personally, right? Like, that's you being you, is just, it's gonna elicit different responses from everybody. So let's see what this says from the book. Sacred, whatever sacred is. Okay, sacred sexuality. I connect with the constant beat of life that inhabits me. I tune in with the divine, the sacred drive of my sexuality. My sexuality is life and is nature. Therefore, I open the doors to my creativity and I open myself to that energetic flow. I know myself. I respect myself. I look after myself. I trust and I learn from loving myself. That's that feeling that I was getting where it's this having to face oneself. Not everybody is open to that. People like to live in the state of not knowing. Like, that's just a part of being human, because not knowing is easier than knowing, right? I observe the movement of the sacred and the profane. I transform the subtle and vulnerable energies, elevating my sexual drive. A large forest filled with mysteries, a dance of energies, a point of contact that contains the life force of creation. I integrate my invigorated self, stimulating mind, body, and emotions. I unclog blockages, and I connect with the cosmic mind. I glimpse the mysteries of the universe, the sexual centers. I connect with my centers of sexual energy. I focus my attention in my lower centers while I gently breathe, thanking the movement of the life force that resides within. An authentic and pure sexual expression creates radiant health. Yeah, okay, so that's really telling, because when we think about the sexual centers, right, we're thinking about lower chakras that can both be the sacral and the root chakra. Now, sexual action is activated through the root chakra, right? That's when we have actual bumping peepees, if you will, or the dance with no pants, just depending. I'm trying to keep this G-rated or PG-rated here, right? So, but that's when we actually have the physical connection. But what's really becoming activated in the act itself is the sacral chakra. But a lot of addiction and discomfort with oneself and one's own skin comes from an unbalanced root chakra. And so when we engage in sex, then we're reactivating that, and that is a feeling of being wanted and needed, and so it placates that feeling of discomfort for a time being, but it doesn't override it, right? It just placates it for the time. And so as we continue to connect with people in this way, we're just only filling our emotional ego rather than facing it. And that's what I feel like. There's some people here who, being that this is the massive energy that's coming in, there's a lot of people here who did not want to face themselves when they met you because it was scary, right? Your energy naturally asks people to rise up to meet you. And if they don't rise up, they fall down. And it's just because it's that blast of divine energy coming from you. And again, it's not your fault. It's not something that you're doing consciously. It's on a very energetic, nuanced, subtle level. And that energy can be incredibly overwhelming for those that are not ready to face that side of themselves. And that's what's happening here. And so I feel like with this, most everybody, when what they secretly thought when they first met you, when they first saw you, was, I want them. But then the act of wanting you turned into so much more, and more than some of them are ready to deal with. So we're going to look into that a little bit more with each individual pile and see what comes through here. All right, so for pile 1, we do have this dice with Uranus on it for you to choose from. Or we have this arrowhead. Pile 2, we have this dice with Pluto on it. Or we have this piece of raw fluorite for you to choose from. Pile 3, we have this dice with the moon on it. Or we have this rock for you to choose from. So pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3, whichever pile you feel called to, that should be the one for you, and I will see you over there. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Uranus on it, or if you were called to this arrowhead, or maybe you felt called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what did they secretly think of you when they first saw you. We are all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message does happen to resonate with you, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you today. So let's go ahead and hop to it and find out. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you, pile 1? What did they secretly think when they first saw you, pile 1? What did they secretly think when they first saw you, pile 1? So we've got the 6th house, we've got Pisces energy, and we've got the North Node. So you're very dreamy. They thought you were very dreamy. Something about your eyes. Also, a very dreamy face. Like you have a beautiful face, a very handsome face, a very symmetrical face. Or maybe you come from a part of the world where symmetry isn't as beautiful as other places. And it's just the way that your face is shaped. They secretly thought you were incredibly good looking though. That you're healthy, you like to work out, you like to take care of yourself, you like to feel good about yourself. They also secretly thought that they're meant to meet you. Like they feel like you guys are meant to know each other, and they like that. They like that they feel like you guys were meant to know each other. They also think that you saw through them and could read their thoughts, could read their mind. The two of you may share a telepathic connection. Now, it doesn't have to be, but that is something that's coming in. And just remember, like, you know, take it with a grain of salt, because not everybody believes that, I know. So I do, but I know that some people have a hard time seeing that. But I do feel like they feel like you were reading their thoughts. They feel like you were reading their feelings. They feel like they couldn't hide themselves from you. And so they secretly thought that you knew them the minute you met them better than they knew themselves. And that terrified them, but it also was very intriguing for them. And, whoa, let's get some more on it with the tarot. So I do have a couple of new oracle decks that I'm bringing out today, which I'm excited about. All right, we're going to use the Tarot Marseille because we want to get into the nitty gritty. I do feel like they went and they searched for you online after they first met you because they wanted to know more about you. They wanted to know what you got going on in your life, who you're talking to, who is watching you if they could. Let's get a little bit more here. What did they secretly think when they first saw you, pile one? Okay, thank you, source. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Yeah, they really secretly thought that you're incredibly abundant. Not necessarily monetary, but that you're just abundant in character and that you're abundant in soul. Yeah, this is not surprising. So I just want to mention, if you haven't, you might resonate with some of the messages that came out in the collective energy, which will be timestamped in the description box below if you feel called to it. No obligation, but if you do feel called, you'll find the timestamp down below. What did they secretly think when they first met you? Yeah. What did they secretly think when they first met you, pile one? Wow, so much wands energy here. They were very attracted to you. Very. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting, right? Because the Knight, and you'll see this with some of the cards in the Tarot Marseille, it's because they all link back to each other through the mandala. And it's really, really long to explain. But anyways, you see the coin here. This is the Knight of Coins, and he has the wand as well. Okay, and so they all circle back to one another to complete the circuit is what's happening here. And so it's interesting that overall it's a very slow moving connection. But with the wand coming out in every one of these cards, it's showing that there was a lot of passion and a lot of sexual attraction when they first met you. But they secretly thought that you were somebody who was incredibly charming and very confident. And again, you saw through them, and that scared them. And they didn't know quite what to make of that. And that was something that, kept them maybe from approaching you or kept them from coming forward. But they feel very fortunate that they met you. Yeah, look at this. With the Ace of Coin underneath the Knight of Coins. They feel very fortunate, and they've always felt that way. Even to this day, they feel very fortunate that they met you. They feel like you were a gift in their life and something that created an opening and an opportunity for them to find new abundance, to find new security even, and to find their own growth. But it also terrified them deeply because they didn't want to choose that path. That was something they didn't want to consciously go down. It was almost as if they feel like you forced them down that. And so there is a bit of anger with that as well. But with the Page of Wands here in the reverse, we see that they were immediately sexually attracted to you, right? Page of Wands in the reverse talks about an immature sexual attraction, an immature mindset when it comes to sex. And they were only thinking about what it would be like to, jump your bones, in other words. Like, what is that? What would it be like with pile one? And so they've definitely played over in their mind again and again and again what it would be like to sleep with you. And I feel like this came later, seeing how confident you were and seeing how grounded you are and seeing how capable you are of creating balance in your life. That came later, but when they first saw you, they secretly were thinking that this is somebody who I want more than anything else in the world. And I'm very fortunate that I met somebody who physically, right, especially with the 6th house here, this is like physical attraction, who physically is appearing the way that I want. You guys could have been co-workers. Also, you could have been walking an animal or dog at the park. You could have just been out and about and maybe you were feeding the squirrels at the park, or you were feeding birds or something like that. There's small animals involved here for someone. But I feel like this is just them saying, like, you have the body type that they've always wanted. You have the face that they've always dreamt of. You are picture perfect. Check almost every box that they've ever considered, with the exception of the fact that you have forced them into that spiritual growth. With the Wands energy as well, we see it's a very spiritual connection, right? We see that there's a very spiritual aspect to it. And they, like I was talking about that in the collective message, that not everybody is ready and willing to jump at the self-discovery journey. In fact, most people are doing their best to hide from it. They're trying their best to not have to face that part of themselves, because it means that they have to let go of patterns, cycles, people, situations, places that they have grown accustomed to keeping in their life, or holding on to, or letting guide them or force them in a certain direction, right? Could be addictions, it could be women, it could be men, it could be, sex addiction here, especially with the Page of Wands here. That's something that's highly likely for some people here, is that there's a sexual addiction. And facing you, it had to become more than that, because you weren't just another name they could add to their roster. And even if you were at some point a name that they added to their roster, it was a name that they kept going back to time and time again. And that was a first for them. And that's something that they don't like. They don't like that, because it means that there's some aspect about you that they feel like you could have more together, when maybe they were just used to being very promiscuous. Especially with the Lover card here in the reverse, promiscuity. Cheating, third-party situations, but definitely promiscuity is coming through here. But they still can't help but get you off your mind. And for those of you that have not had sexual contact with them, it's just all they can think about. What would it be like with pile number one? What would it mean to sleep with pile number one? Like, would it be something to satisfy my curiosity, or is it something that I would keep going back to time and time and time again? And that energy, the fact that they could come back to you again and again, that bothers them a lot, because this is somebody who cuts people off for the smallest of things. Like, this is literally the person who, if you do anything that is even remotely human, they're gonna say ick, and they're gonna jump off the boat. Like, they're like, oh no. You sneeze, they're jumping off the boat. You cough, they're jumping off the boat. You burp, you fart, you giggle wrong, right? They're jumping off the boat. They're just getting the ick. Like, that's how they feel about it. They're like, oh no, I'm out of here, bye. But with you, everything you do is intriguing to them, and that really has them running for the hills right now. And it has them feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I can deal with this. And they see how strong you are, right? To go from a page in reverse to even a knight, that's a massive shift in energy. But we see going from the Page of Wands, did I say swords? My apologies. But to go from the Page of Wands to the King of Wands, which is the energy that you've been exuding, which you're probably very much in your Empress or Emperor energy right now. And that's perfectly beautiful. But even just asking them to go from Page to King energy is such a massive leap, which is why they've turned their back on it too. Right? It's just something, I don't want to deal with that. They'd rather have an aching heart than to focus and face on the parts of themselves that maybe aren't working for them, whether that's the people they're hanging out with, the things that they're doing, the places they're going, the things that they're keeping, the company they're keeping in their life, whatever it is here. And again, for many, this could be promiscuity. They don't want to settle down. They're happier being loose like that than they are being committed. This is someone who has a commitment issue for sure. They're used to people stabbing them in the back, which is why they do not display their heart. They don't display their emotions. But for you, when you first connected with them, right, when they first saw you, when you guys locked eyes, they felt like you unraveled their entire life before them. Well, that may or may not be true for some of you. I do feel like you recognized a very deep truth about this person that they thought they had done so well to hide, that no one had seen before. Like, this is someone who'd been so used to giving fake smiles they tried to give you that fake smile and you didn't smile back the way that someone else would, or the way that other people would, right? Or they tried to laugh at something that wasn't a joke and you were looking at them like, okay, like that's not even funny. You know, like, it was something about the way you observed an action that they normally receive a certain reaction from, and you responded instead of reacted. Like, you weren't trying to build up this person's ego. You were in a state of observation, and that state of observation gave you insight to something that they had been trying to hide about themselves for so long. And it could even be that you saw this promiscuity, or you saw this addiction that came out, right? This is a root chakra addiction here that's coming through with the Page of Wands. This is something that's connected to the root chakra. So that could be sex, drugs, alcohol, a way of acting, a way of being treated, certain connections, certain lifestyle, whatever it is, right? You saw something and you were not amused. You just weren't amused. And, you know, like where everyone else thinks it's this great thing, or like, oh, you're living the life, you were probably like, oh no. Like, it gave you the ick, even if you were interested in this person. It was just this, it's not the person that gave you the ick, it's just their lifestyle, what they were doing. So it's like when they would normally jump boat feeling the ick, you're the one that was like, no, ew. Go on, go over there and figure yourself out, because I got stuff to take care of. And acting that way made them start to reevaluate themselves. And there's a lot of anger that's coming in here too with that, because they didn't want to reevaluate themselves, because they felt like they were perfectly fine living the way that they were living. Yeah, yeah. So we've got the 9th house here with spiritual growth. Yeah. That's the other thing. So it's like, what did they secretly think when they saw you? It's when they first saw you, is that it's like there was this energy where it's very spiritual. There's something that was happening behind their subconscious. There was something that was forcing them to look at a deeper part of themselves, which is spiritual growth, right? Spiritual growth is the path to self-awareness. And so many people are happy being unaware of themselves. I got the hiccups all of a sudden, and now they're gone, just like that. So hiccups of confirmation. All right, if you didn't know, I don't remember if I said it at the beginning of okay, let me take a drink. If I said it at the beginning of your reading, but I do have a couple new decks that I'm bringing out, and I'm sure you've probably seen them, but we've got the Moonology, and I've got a love deck, and I've also got, where is it at? Oh, it's a past life deck. It's the past life energy oracle, which is absolutely beautiful, but let's see if we can get some more. What else would you like to tell pile number 1, source? What did they secretly think when they first saw you? What did they secretly think when they first saw you? That's the one right there. Okay, you're getting 2 of these. All right, on the bottom of the deck, communication is key. New moon in Gemini, yeah. It's almost like you called them out on a lie, or... And again, it doesn't have to be that you necessarily said anything, but this is the energy that you were in. It was like you either come correct or don't come at all. So it's a very profound boundary that your spirit set. And it was like a spiritual check. That's what I heard right now, is a spiritual check. It's almost like your spirit bumped into their spirit and was like, cool, if you want to approach me, but we need to do this spiritual check first. So you're going to have to come correct. You can't just come in any way you want or be whoever you think you need to be, because it's not going to work with me. I'm going to see through that. And you did. And that scared the crap out of them. All right, let's get one of these. Whoa. Yeah, whoa. We've got, look at this, loss, reversal of fortune. So, you know, and look, he's losing money. Like, this is a thief here. He's losing his money to this thief. And it's like, but I feel like the thief in this case is his ego. It's, you know, like, this is representing, I'm not saying this is a guy that we're talking about, but it's the thief here is representing his ego, right? This guy's ego. And that's what this feels like. And so with reversal of fortune, it's like when they met you, this reversal of fortune was the ego trying to maintain a way here. Plus, this makes me feel like, again, with the addiction, a confirmation with addiction, maybe a possible gambling addiction. Okay, but this is that energy that I was also getting with the collective. It's almost like as if their whole lives are suddenly tattered and in shambles and turned upside down after they met you, because it's asking them to step up and to choose learning more about themselves. But they were happy living, I mean, floating along, but they weren't even floating along, because it's like swimming upstream. Like they're trying to swim upstream, right? Yeah, look at this. We have Archangel Phanuel with optimism and hope. You were the angel that came into their life in the darkness, but that also brought stipulations with it. And those stipulations, they just don't know if they can meet. Like they just don't know if they can be that person. And that scares the living bejeebus out of them. All right, so let's get 2 of these cards. All right. One more, source. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so feelings came out here. It says take time out to explore the deep emotions you're experiencing. So this is why, like, if this is somebody who has ghosted you along the way, or who's cut conversation or communication with you, that's why it's like they're being forced to look at the feelings that they have for you. They're being forced to come to this place of acknowledging themselves, which they've been desperately trying to run away from for so long. Like they don't want to acknowledge themselves, but there's like this, again, with reversal of fortune, it's a forcing of, it's like you either look at yourself or you continue down this dark alley that nobody wants to be in, right? No matter how arrogant you are, no matter how egoic you are, no matter how prideful you are, eventually the dark alley gets to everybody. Right? Or the dark night of the soul, depending on how you look at it, right? But that symbolism is very clear, right? And then we had connection, which says your connection is eternal and unbreakable. And that's what I'm saying. Like they definitely do feel like it was fortune to meet you. Like they feel like they were destined to meet you. You were everything that they were ever asking for, but they thought that they could ask for someone like you and still be in the energy that they've always been in, right? This is somebody who would not have committed to you. They would have just strung you along, and maybe they did. Maybe they did for a time. They just strung you along. Illusion. Yeah, exactly. Avoid the trap of mistaking a fantasy for a true soul connection. And that's, I feel like, something else too that maybe you've had to face yourself, right? It's not that they don't care about you, they do. I feel like a lot of people fall for you when they first meet you. I feel like a lot of people fall for you regardless, because you have such a powerful, intoxicating energy. And I feel like for them, it's just that reminder that, like, don't fall for potential, fall for truth. And that's what's coming in for you, Pile 1. And so sometimes we need that reminder, because we believe that obsession is connection. Ooh, and if you haven't checked out my community tab, because yesterday, so this will come out tomorrow. Yeah, so yesterday I posted a little short by Sasha Hart. Amazing person. If you get a chance to follow him, definitely do. But check out my community tab and watch the short that I posted, because he talks about this very thing. Like, obsession is not connection. And he does it in such a beautiful, elegant, eloquent way that makes so much sense. So if you feel called to, it will be on my community tab. But again, avoiding the trap of mistaking a fantasy for a true soul connection. Like sometimes we can convince ourselves that this is the person that we've always wanted. This is the situation that I've always dreamed of. This is the situation that I need in my life, when it's actually not in alignment with where we're going. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That makes us entirely human. You're not broken. You're not weird. You're not, we're all living out old patterns that we're constantly trying to face, right? And thinking of the cyclical nature of life, those patterns will continue to come into our lives no matter what. Even once we've healed from them, those same patterns will continue to show up in our lives. And it's not as a form of punishment. It's because the whole of the universe is on a Fibonacci sequence. And so it's constantly unfolding and unfurling. And the reason those situations come back to us is they're just opportunities for us to choose a different path. That's all they are. It's always going to be an opportunity, right? And this is so crazy. They want me to mention this. I have my dog. I love her to death. She is a boxer pit bull Rottweiler mix. Okay, she's a brindle. She's absolutely gorgeous. I love her to death. She chose me, and she has my full heart, and I absolutely adore her. But I used to have a blue heeler, and blue heeler that was the dog that I had to put down right after I started this channel. And so some of you guys know that story. You've been here with me since I started this channel, and so you know that story. It was heartbreaking. She was my soulmate, and that was really hard, losing my best friend. So back to what I was saying with my boxer mix, is that she has a hard time on the leash. She's still very reactive on the leash, even though I've had her for years. And people are like, oh, you need to train your dog. And see, that's the thing. It's like having the blue heeler, she taught me how to train. So I was able to take a lot of the things that I learned from training her and apply them to my boxer mix. But somewhere along the way, we were having such a difficult time, right? Like, it was just such a difficult time. And so it was peace, patience, and persistence. This came up along the way, is peace, patience, and persistence. And that same energy needs to be applied to everything that we do in our lives, right? So especially with connections that are like this, it's like having peace, patience, and persistence, not for the person, but for what's happening and unfolding in our lives. Because if we go out and we're struggling, like, think about it, like, I have to use a prong collar on her because she's so strong. And I know a lot of people have such an issue with prong collars, and I used to too, but I understand it's a tool, and it's about learning how to use the tool right. That's what it's about, right? And so she walks next to my leg. I don't have to use it. We walk loose leash all the time. She's incredibly good until we find a dog that is a barker, or if she gets too close to a dog, then she's gonna do the lunge and back up thing. She's fear reactive. And so she just doesn't understand that it's still safe when she's next to me. And that's what we're learning and working on right now. Okay. And it's just a process. And the thing is that I feel like a lot of people get stuck in that cycle where it's like, I could have gotten stuck in that cycle where I was just constantly correcting her, constantly being overwhelming with her, constantly like trying to force her into being a certain way, rather than letting her guide me into a peaceful situation. So sometimes we have to pay attention to what's in front of us. So I have to pay attention to her movements. I have to pay attention to her hair, right? Is her hair standing up on end? I have to pay attention to her eyes. Like, I have to pay attention to the nuanced things that she's showing me, those subtle movements that she's showing me that are going to tell me how to respond to her. And that's what they're saying. It's like there's this energy right now where you have to let the situation unfold and watch with observation to let them show you how to respond. It's not cruel. It's not mean. It's not even selfish. Because the thing is with her, because of the kind of dog she is, and because I travel regularly, she's not a breed that's necessarily accepted everywhere. Even still, even though they're becoming more lenient with the breeds and everything, she's still a breed that is on the no, like, we don't allow that dog here, right? And it doesn't matter, like, she's mainly boxer, but she looks like a pit bull because that's her head, but she's mainly boxer. But she was just the one out of her litter. She just looks like a boxer, okay? Or, I'm sorry, like a pit bull. And so my job is to protect her. Even if my methods look cruel to other people, my job is to make sure that she is always safe. Whether we're out, if there's other dogs, I cannot be worried about what everybody else is doing. I can't be worried about what everybody else is thinking. I can't be worried about even how other people see me when I'm working with her, because if they don't agree with me, that's not my problem, right? That's not how it works, because my main job is to be her protector and make sure she's stable enough when we're out that I can control her so things don't escalate. That is my only concern with her, because of the stigma that surrounds the breed. And so thinking about it in this way, there's the stigma that surrounds your spirituality. There's the stigma that surrounds maybe a labeled situation here. There's a stigma around this connection. And so the thing is that if this is something that everybody's saying is for you, right? That's not for you to pay attention to. What's for you to pay attention to are the subtleties in the situation itself so that you can take that information and make the best action moving forward. Make a wise decision moving forward. That's peace, patience, and persistence. Constantly in a state of observation. While you've already been in that state of observation, that's what they're saying here. And so it's just interesting that that's how they wanted to bring it back around. But that's like this person has an agenda. Right now, their agenda is to get you under the sheets, right? Like, that's their thing. It's like, so this is someone who could very easily lead you on, and then once they've gotten what they wanted, then they're just going to bunk out, and they're going to leave you brokenhearted, which is why it's so important to not fall for, oh, this is a labeled relationship. There's the obsession, there's this, there's the constant thinking about them, and so on and so forth. Sometimes the obsession and the constant thinking comes from a lack of closure with the situation, especially if you're a divine feminine, okay? And that's just something that through years of study and understanding these connections and spending time with Source, it's something I've learned along the way. And that's something here. And so, yes, you've impacted this person's life in a very profound way. But also this connection is something, right, not to fall for the illusion. What Source is saying is that's why it's important for you to step back, take off the rose-colored glasses, which come with a label, right? Put the label down for just a second and look at the person without the label. Look at the person. Is this somebody, if they didn't have a label, is this somebody you would let in your life? Is this somebody you would allow to treat you this way? Is this somebody you would allow to get away with the things that maybe they've already gotten away with? And if the answer is no to those things, then remember, Source did not put us here to suffer connections just because we as humans decided to put a label on it to understand certain emotions that we're experiencing. We're being human. Allow ourselves to be human, but we don't need to give a label. We also don't need to fall in line with what a label says we have to be. Our job is to love, respect, and honor ourselves first and foremost, regardless of how that looks to everybody else or everybody that feels like it has to be a certain way. Which again, like I said, with the prong collar, that's not something that everybody really necessarily believes in. I even have to use an e-collar with her, which has a beep, a vibrate, and a shock. Now, before I ever put it on her, I tried it on myself. Know what she was going to experience when I used it because I needed to understand. And it's not that bad. It's not something that's like terrible. She's a little dramatic sometimes, but it's not that terrible. It's on the lowest possible setting, and I rarely ever use the electric shock on her. Rarely. Like, it's like she gets it. As soon as, if we ever get escalated to the point where the shock comes, that's it. That's going to be the last time that happens. So I'm trying to teach her that the beep and the vibrate are the two that if we can get it to fix it with these two, we'll never have to escalate to that moment of the shock. And again, I know a lot of people have an issue with that. What I'm saying is that if you understand your tools, that's the same with the spiritual journey. If you understand your tools, you'll never be left in a state of hurt and suffering because you'll always have the information you need to move forward, right? Again, I say this because my job is to protect her because of the stigma around her breed. My job is to make sure that she always comes home with me no matter what because she's safe at home, and I have to be able to take her outside. I have to be able to interact with other people around. I have to be able to interact with other dogs and animals around. So it means that I have to be persistent with my journey with her. Again, it's just how you look at it. A lot of people are quick to judge certain types of situations, but without understanding, there are certain times when those tools that seem very harsh, even with the spiritual journey, tools like cutting people off, saying no, setting boundaries, these are tools that we learn, skills that we learn along the way, seem incredibly harsh. Or even choosing to walk away from a label for a time being to recenter ourselves seems like such a cruel action because it's saying we're giving up on something that was supposed to be preordained by the divine. But Source is never going to say, how dare you walk away from something that was preordained for you? Even if you do walk away from the perfect person, Source is still going to love you unconditionally. Source is still going to lift you up, honor you, and be with you the whole time. So it's just reminding yourself that we're being given opportunities like the Fibonacci sequence in order for us to grow, in order for us to learn how to better show up. Are we going to mess up? Of course we are. Are there going to be times when we overcorrect? Of course there are. But there are also going to be times when we win it without the correction, right? And that's just the process. Okay, so these flipped over. We have fear. Yeah. Afraid, uneasy, suspicion, and scared. So you scared the crap out of them. Okay, intuition, gut feeling, psychic premonition, sixth sense. So yeah, you were definitely seeing something that they were trying to hide. And that's what I was saying. I feel like this person either ended things with you or ghosted you. It feels like we have walking away, ending, separation, and it's over, breaking up. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, we have surrender. This is why. I didn't even know this was on the bottom. So we have letting go, release, give up, and patience. What was I saying? Peace, patience, and persistence. It was coming through so strong. What the heck? Like, I can't make it up. I have a little dry erase board that's hanging on my fridge, and I have it. I can even read it right now. Peace, patience, and persistence. I blocked it out so that I won't erase it. And sometimes I have to rewrite it because it's a dry erase board, but I have it on the bottom of my board, and I've had it there for 2 or 3 years. Like, I might have to rewrite it every once in a while, but it's just that reminder. And it's okay to be human. Like, I feel like that's something that Source really wants you to know, Pile 1, is that it's okay to be human. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have horrible, terrible, no good, very bad days, because that's what it is to be human. But just knowing that that moment is going to pass as well, right? Let's get one more of these, Source. Well, okay. All right, so put that here. We had Phoenix flipped over. Yeah, a new phase, rekindle, renew and growth, change mind and rise from the ashes. You're moving on. You're the one that's growing spiritually. You continue to grow spiritually. And I feel like without meaning to, right? Like, because it wasn't your choice and it's not your business whether this person chooses to grow spiritually or not. But you've left this person in the dust. Like, they're miles and miles behind you. Then we had coffin. Exactly. New beginning, liberation, reborn, and transition, and tragic endings. This was a very difficult situation. Okay, like, because I feel like there's just something here where it's feeling like I have to hold on, but also things that are playing out that you're like, I don't know, like, this is not something, again, asking those questions, right? Like, this is not something I would let anybody else do to me. You're not going to be punished for letting go. Right? We have surrender on the bottom, which literally says letting go, release, give up, and patience. You're not going to be punished for saying, I choose myself. Source would never punish you for that. Source doesn't punish us anyways. Life is punishing, but life is punishing because we have so many different cosmos that are unsure of themselves, bouncing around and bouncing into each other. It's not Source. It's because that's this realm. It's the epitome of both good and negative, right? Positive and negative energy. It's just fluctuating and flying around, right? Is it punishment that one tree has life and another tree doesn't? No, it's just the way things are. Teddy bear, interested in you, blooming romance, flirting, and wanting to date. Yeah, so there's definitely a mutual interest here, right? There is, but that's not enough. Love isn't enough. There needs to be respect. There needs to be consistency. There needs to be honor. There needs to be honesty, communication, right? You can't just have love and hope that love is going to win over everything else. Because if you love somebody for your entire life, but this person never actually comes and shows up for you, what did that love do? It was just you putting your love on hold and never giving it to other people. And I've heard people talk about how I don't have enough love to give to anybody else, which is an illusion, right? Because love is infinite. That's us putting ourselves in a box because of our emotional ego. Girl with a snake. Charmed or used. Enabled boundaries. Like, that's the thing. You're not being bad or selfish for enabling boundaries. Especially boundaries where everybody's like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Your journey is your journey. It's up to you to make the best possible choice for yourself. Even if that doesn't look like what hundreds of millions of other people are doing. That's not your business, and your business is not their business, okay? So choose yourself. Okay, one more. This one. No, this one. Oh, okay, I guess both of these wanted to come out. All right. On the bottom of the deck, look at that. Right there. Codependency. Didn't I say addictions for this person? Addictions are affecting your romantic life. Okay, so source confirming that energy very clearly here. Very, very clearly. Whoa. Like, so strong. Square. Yeah. So challenging situation and a mountain to climb. This is a very challenging situation overall. Source is confirming that, acknowledging that, and recognizing that for you. Okay. And if it is challenging, right, part of our journey is about us trusting in the process and getting into a state of flow. Flow is not a challenge. Sometimes flow is scary to get into because it's not challenging. When we're so used to everything being so difficult and everything being so hard. So when we choose to let go and surrender and things start happening because we're just kind of going with the flow and like, okay, I'm just going to go this way. We start to get nervous because we're always expecting the worst case scenario. Wow. Full moon in Leo. Don't let your pride get in the way. Oh my gosh. Another confirmation here. Whoa. What else do we have? Look at that. Oh my gosh. Balance spirituality and practicality. Full moon in Pisces. Okay, so confirmations, right? This is very spiritual, but you're also spiritually growing. And also don't let your emotional ego lock you into a box just because other people are telling you that that has to be the way it is. The minute somebody tells me it has to be this way, that's the minute I'm going to start doing my research and asking the question, why? Why does it have to be that way? Because that's too limiting for me. It's too impoverished for me. It's saying I can't expand in that situation no matter what, or I'm always going to be stuck in a cycle. And that's what we're trying to move away from, is those repeat cycles that keep us acting and being the same way. The cycles will always appear. But now the question is are we choosing to show up as a different version of ourselves in those same cycles? No. What is happening right now? What is happening right now? We've got the addiction card from another deck. Toxic attachment. We had the codependency come out. Okay. Toxic attachment, drugs, alcohol, obsession. And I said on your reading, obsession is not connection. It's not. No matter what, obsession is not connection. Okay? Oh my goodness. So we have engagement. Okay, your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. I feel like this could have been someone that you've imagined a future with. Did they imagine a future with you? I'm sure they have. But their future with you is more revolved around this addiction that they have, okay? Flirt. Yeah, they've definitely flirted with you. And we saw that in another card, flirt. The teddy bear card. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. So keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. So Source saying keep an open mind here. Because who's going to come in for you might not come in the same package. And are you okay with that? And if not, then that is an opportunity to understand yourself even deeper. Very soon. Clearly decide what you want so that it comes to you now. Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask for a reciprocal partner. And then being open to who that could be. All right, so let's take a look at this card. I'm going to read this from the book. I do have to look at this off camera, though, because some of these cards are very risque. So I'm going to make sure that it is camera appropriate. And if not, then we're just going to work with it. Oh, okay. Yeah, origins. Look at this beautiful energy. This is coming back to yourself. That's what this feels like to me. This is coming back to your truth, understanding yourself deeper. I feel like this connection has helped you know yourself on a deeper level. And as much as they wanted to run away from it, you actually got them to understand themselves on a deeper level, but they're doing everything that they can to not acknowledge that. It says, I observe. The first two words, I observe. And we were talking about that. You came into this with a state of observation. And that's what Source is saying. Stay in that observation stage because it's giving you the most useful information. I observe the collective subconscious of my family filled with unresolved issues. These outstanding matters of my ancestors recreate situations for me. Oh my gosh, the Fibonacci sequence. What? And my current family tree. Repeating past events is an unconscious manner of honor and loyalty to my ancestors. It is a subliminal way of communicating that we are all part of the same tribe. In order to move forward and respect my own path, I become aware of my tree and acknowledge the pain of my ancestors. If needed, I lament their sorrow and release that family loyalty. The more I become aware of my history, the more light I shed on each relative, ancestor, descendant, and myself. I understand that I am my family tree, and that if I want to break free from my inherited burdens and know myself better, whoa, what a confirmation. I can always recover valuable information from my genealogy. What is the origin of my name? Have I assumed responsibilities that are not mine? Are there family secrets yet to come to light? There is not a bigger relief than starting to be what one is. Since our infancy, they have foisted on us foreign destinies. We are not in the world to fulfill our parents' dreams and also others, but our own. Okay? So it says, cut bonds. The key to healing requires me to look beyond what my ancestors offered me as a life experience, positive or negative. I accept that from a higher perspective, any experience is love. I thank my ancestors that I exist. The best way of cutting bonds while honoring my family and ancestors is to do what I deserve. My needs are valid, and I deserve to live in peace. Exactly. Whoa. What a confirming card. Whoa. That, like, a beautiful way to tie up your reading, pile one. I know that this is not easy what you're dealing with this person, but you've done already a beautiful job of taking a step back and just trying to understand more. And really, this is about honoring yourself. Whatever's unfolding here, even whatever this person secretly thought when they first saw you, whatever's unfolding between the two of you really comes down to how are you going to use the information that you're getting to better attend, take care of, respect, and honor yourself, okay? That's what's really coming through, and that's what Source really wanted to focus on, right? To the point with the arrowhead. That's what I heard when I looked at it. It said to the point. Okay, so this is what I see for you here today. What a phenomenal reading. Thank you for allowing me to connect with you in this way today. I'm truly honored to be here. If it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. If you felt like this was your reading, I can't make this up, but if you can see, there's a little avocado here. Leave the little avocado emoji down below and say, I honor my past and respect myself in the present so that I can create my future. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel Source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this incredible message today. And until next time, pile number one, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with Pluto on it, or if you were called to this piece of raw fluorite, or perhaps you felt called to this card during the shuffle, this is going to be a reading on what did they secretly think when they first saw you. We are all here sharing this human experience together. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. I do things differently here on this channel, so with that being said, there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There is no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the message happens to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And know that your energy, your time, and your presence is a true gift and a blessing today, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you. So with that, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out, what did they secretly think when they first saw you, pile two? What did they secretly think when they first saw you, pile two? Source, what would you like to share with us today? Okay, so we've got the 8th house. We have Taurus energy and we have the moon. They secretly thought that you are mysterious. You're really hard to read. Your emotions are really hard to read. You don't wear your emotions on your face, which is interesting because I feel like if you looked at yourself in the mirror, you would say, I do wear my emotions on my face. Like, I feel like to you, your emotions are painfully obvious. But I feel like to others, like a lot of people don't recognize how you feel. Like they don't. Like if you're sad, people don't notice it. If you're angry, people don't notice it. Unless you're actually in a state where, you know, as we all are human, where maybe you're projecting, right? No beef, no blame, no nothing. That's just a part of us. Like everybody's going to falter. It's not a big deal. We just do our best to stay in alignment and keep moving, right? But I do feel like this is that energy where it's like, you feel like your emotions are painfully honest. Like you feel like when you're feeling something that the whole world ought to know, but they didn't. They feel like your emotions are a mystery. They feel like you're a mystery, but they do feel like you're very attractive, that you're very magnetic. There's something very magnetic about your personality. You have a lot of charisma. You're very loyal. They secretly thought that you're somebody that's very secure and stable and that you know your worth and you're not afraid to get up and walk away if something's not working out for you. I also feel like you're very empowered and that you've done a lot of healing. So they're definitely looking beyond the surface for sure, but they do feel like your emotions are very well kept secret. And I just feel like it might be because they haven't really spent a lot of time with you, and they maybe have, but again, maybe it's just because you feel like it's obvious, but maybe you've gotten used to masking them in a way that saved you from certain disappointment when you were a child, and that could be something that you're working on as you continue to heal, right? But that's something that's coming through here. They also feel like you're very nurturing and compassionate and loving, and that you leave so much space for people. And I feel like they secretly think and wonder how do people leave space for you? Do people love you with open arms, or, you know, do you allow people into your life in that way? And so they've definitely considered that and wondered what that is. All right. So let's get some tarot on it. We're going to find out some more. I'm using my Tarot Marseille today because we want to get into the nitty gritty and find out all the info. So let's find out some more. Source, what would you like to share with us here? And I feel like you're very passionate about life, that you're very inspired, and that you go where your heart wants you to go. You're always led by your intuition and your heart. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? That you're committed to something that matters to you, and you're very good at talking to people, connecting with people. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? That you are somebody who has done so much for yourself. They also wonder if you're doing it alone. Yeah, that's... They wonder if you're doing it alone. All right, so let's find out. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Yeah, okay. Thank you for that confirmation. We'll get into it. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Yeah. They feel like you have a lot of sorrow in your heart. They feel like a lot of people don't know the real you. Interesting. A lot of fiery energy today. So just pointing it out that you might be called to listening to the collective message in the beginning. There might be additional messages for you if you feel called to it. If not, that's okay. There's no obligation. But you'll find the timestamp down below in the description box. On the bottom of the deck, we've got the 9 of coins in the upright. Yeah, very abundant, very magnetic, very attractive person, very grounded, very stable. But what they secretly thought when they first saw you is that you're definitely repressing some of your emotions, right? That's the same energy I got with the dice, is the strength in reverse. It talks about repressing emotions, like keeping things hidden from others, keeping things hidden even from ourselves, and not wanting to share that vulnerable side of ourselves because of fear of rejection or fear of hurt, suffering, pain, reliving a memory. And so they secretly thought that you're somebody that you are hard to read. Like, are you sad? Are you happy? Are you genuinely happy when you're smiling? Or is the smile covering up something? And so they're very observant, and they're always just checking. Like, they're just trying to understand, like, what would it mean for pile 2 to smile from their heart rather than just to smile because that's what society asks of. And so they do feel like you are wearing a mask, but they also recognize that it's not because you want to. It's become a coping mechanism, or it's for safety and it's for protection. Because there's something about you that says, my feelings don't matter to the world out there. And so they're secretly thinking that your feelings do. And how do I access that? Like, how do I gain pile 2's trust in a way that they're willing to be vulnerable and open with me? Because they recognize that must come from situations where you have given vulnerable side of yourself to others, and they have cast you aside, or they have treated you like you didn't matter, or they've made you feel less than. But somehow you always bounce back. And so they're secretly thinking that you're this very strong person because you've always been put in situations where strength was the only option. Because if you weren't strong, if you didn't rely on yourself in those options, then you would have fallen apart. And falling apart was never an option in any situation, because falling apart is perceived weakness, and that perceived weakness is an opportunity for people to attack or to treat you in a certain way, or to use that to hurt you and to harm you. And so they're considering all this. I do feel like they are very tapped in, and they're very understanding of you, but also they need to hear it from you. Like, this is something they've thought about too. It's like, I need to hear it from pile 2. I need to hear what they're going through. Can't just assume. Or even like if they have psychic abilities, like they don't want to just use their psychic abilities to just dump on you like, hey, I recognize that you're going through XYZ and we need to talk about it because you need not to go through this alone. Like, they feel like that's super forward, and that would just make you clam up even more, and that you would just be like, no, everything's fine. It's okay. Right? And that's a very old pattern that you might have. And that could be something that you are working on. It could be something that is just very challenging for you to work on because you never had anybody that's cared for you like that in your life, which sometimes happens along the journey. You know, we've given so much of ourselves, and we're so used to putting our own emotions and feelings on the back burner. And it's not that we're not doing self-love. It's not that we're not respecting ourselves or even taking care of ourselves. It's just that when it comes to what we're suffering from in the world, like everybody else, it's just that we've recognized that so many people lack empathy and sympathy for anybody other than their own problems, right? And so that could be why you've closed off to that, or that's what they're secretly thinking, is that you're closed off to that. But I do feel like for you, there's this feeling underneath, like, well, when I look in the mirror and I'm sad, I see my sadness. But it could also be that you see it because you're experiencing it, right? Like, it's very clear to you, and you also see yourself every day. So you see all the different emotions that you're experiencing and the roller coaster ride that you've been on. And that's something that you're very aware of. You know the little nuanced signs that come up when those situations arise. But I feel like not a lot of people get that close to you to know that, or they're not around you enough to see those little subtleties that change in your demeanor and in your face and in your eyes, or even in the way that you're acting. But I do feel like this is somebody who wants to be a part of that with you. Like, they want to know what that is. But they do feel like you are building something, but they also feel like you're very closed off to people. Like, there's this essence of isolation, or just maybe forced solitude, where you're keeping yourself in a state of solitude because of this great fear of getting hurt. And they want to be able to be a safe space for you, but there's just a fear that comes with that too. Like, I don't want to push you away. Yeah. Also, I mean, the thing is they want to be seen by you too. Like, this is somebody who wants your approval. This is somebody who wants you to see them too. It's not at the forefront. It's not like they're just like trying to get your approval for everything, but it's like they do value your opinion. They value your wisdom. They value your knowledge. They value what you have to offer, but they also don't want it to be like, oh, I'm only doing this so that, so that I can get free access to their knowledge and stuff, and so, but they do feel like most of the time you guys are mirroring each other. Yeah, so you could be in a state of leadership, in a position of leadership. This could be somebody you work with. This could be someone that you've inspired online. This could be someone you met out and about through networking. But I feel like they see you as this very powerful, emotionally strong leader, but also that, there's a part of you that also wants to be approved by others, or this is something that's a past energy that's been clinging on for a very long time, is that people-pleasing energy. And, like the Seven of Coins, when it's in the reverse in the Tarot Marseille, really talks about a neurotic need of approval. Like, I'll do anything and say anything in order to be approved of people. But here, it's not giving me that really strong energy. It's just like, they're seeing that people-pleasing energy from you, but they're also seeing that that's not the energy that you're exuding all the time. Like, it's just when it comes to your emotions, you'd rather appear strong and in control than to appear, right, even with the 10 of coin or the 10 of cups here, you'd rather appear in control and capable of helping others than to appear weak. And I use that loosely here because it's almost as if your emotions have been used as weapons against you at some point in your life. And so that memory has stayed with you for too long. And it's taught you that it's not safe to share with people. And so this is something that they notice and they've secretly thought about as well. It's like, like who hurt pile 2 so badly that they're just not okay with sharing what they're truly feeling. Like, it's almost as if maybe you don't sugarcoat it. So it's like you give a one-word response, or you give like a very clear, concise sentence in response it's just deep enough, right? Like, if you're feeling sad, it could be anything that you're going through, right? But if you're like, oh yeah, I'm not really feeling like myself today. I just kind of feel like depressed, but I think I'll be okay, right? Like, it's just a very generic response, instead of saying, like, I'm really torn because I went through this situation recently and I don't know what to do about it, and I don't even know how I'm going to get through it, and I really feel like I need to cry my eyes out. And for you to say something that in depth, it feels like those emotions will be weaponized against you, and that's why you don't do that. And so that's what they're seeing. Like, they do see that, but they also see that no matter what happens to you, you bounce back. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, like, you bounce back and you're always stronger than you were before. But that you have a tendency to carry so much on your shoulders. You carry a lot of life on your shoulders. And I feel like this is someone who's recognized somewhere along the way that to do things like this in solitude becomes incredibly overwhelming. And so this could have been someone who sees a bit of themselves in you. Like, they see that they've done that too. And that's why they want to be able to be a safe space for you to open up, but also they don't want to push you away. Like, there's a fear of pushing you away that outweighs anything else here, because they really do respect and love and care for you. And I feel like they really just admire you. There's a lot of admiration in this pile. Not necessarily romantic love, even though that was my intention coming into this reading. But that doesn't mean that it won't turn into romantic love, but there's definitely a ton of admiration here. And just, they are in awe of you being the person you are. So, they're like paying attention to you constantly. But there's also things that they recognize that you may run from, or that you hide. And it just becomes something that's been so easy to hide from others for so long that you might not even be aware that you're doing it, right? Cardinal energy, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn with instigation, bravery, and a pioneering spirit. Yeah, so they do feel like they secretly think that you were, like, when they met you, that that you're brave, that you're carving a pathway for yourself, that you're vulnerable in other ways too. Like, you're very vulnerable in other ways, and that shows like in your strength. But when it comes to actually getting to know you on an emotional level, you're not very open about that. And no judgment, right? That's okay. It's just something that's really hard to do when you've been hurt so much in life. Okay, these cards are stuck together. Okay, I'll take them because they fell out together. They were really stuck together, so I feel like Source wants them to both come out. So I've got a couple of new decks that I'm bringing out on this reading today. I'm super stoked about. I talk about them in the intro, so if you're wondering what decks they are, I talk about them in the intro. It says it's full moon in Scorpio. Yeah, it's time to release negativity. And, you know, Scorpio energy, that shadow energy, that mystery energy, but also coming back into a state of self-empowerment. And sometimes being self-empowered is being able to step into that vulnerable place, knowing that people can hurt you, but trusting that no matter how they show up, you'll still be okay. And that can be scary too, because it's just easier to run away from the potential hurt than it is to trust that everything's going to be okay. What else for pile 2? What did they secretly think when they first saw pile 2? Whoa, okay, thank you. All right, on the bottom we have personal power, strength, and determination. Yeah, you exude strength. And they noticed it right away. Like, they've recognized how strong you were. You could do anything. You can build anything. You can be anyone. And you do it alone. But also, it's like they want to be a part of your journey for you. Like, they really care about you a lot. There's this energy where it's like they want to be a part of that. Not so that they can hurt you or so that they can, you know, burden you or anything like that, but they want to have access to you so that you can trust that they really do love and care about you. Okay, so we have dreams that flipped over. Share your dreams together and encourage each other to make them a reality. This is what they want. They want to be a cheerleader in your life. Like, they want to help you make your life a reality, but they also want to take some of the burden away from you carrying so much of your emotions by yourself. And then we have Cupid here with love is in the air when Cupid's around. So this could be someone that could potentially turn into a romantic connection. Or, you know, maybe you're interested in them romantically, but you're scared to say so. Or you're thinking that it's not going to turn into something romantic. But for others, this is just somebody who's like, I want to be a friend and I want to build that friendship, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But they do really care about you. This is also giving me like an angel looking over your shoulder. Like, this is somebody who wants to be an angel in your life because they feel like you're an angel in their life. And so they don't have any ulterior motives. They really do want to be a pillar for you like you've been for them. Openness, yeah. Be open to accept divine guidance in your relationships. So, you know, with openness here, they want you to be able to open your heart to them. And they notice that sometimes that's really challenging for you. And they understand. And maybe they don't know everything that you've gone through, why you are the way that you are right now. But that's something that they would love to get to know better. And they recognize that that's going to take time. And that's okay. All right. Thank you. Let's get 2 more of these. Thank you. Let's get 2 more. One more. Okay. Yeah. So on the bottom. Okay. So this makes sense. One of the second card that flipped over was ex-lover, and we have player energy here. Memories, the past, old flame, nostalgic, charming, manipulative, karmic, being tested. So I do feel like they're wondering if you had somebody in your life. I don't feel like they're an ex. They could be, but I don't feel like this person is your ex. I feel like this is something that they've been thinking about. Or they secretly thought when they saw you, was that you've been hurt by somebody in the past, and that your ex was someone who just tore you up inside, right? Like emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and created a lot of hassle for you. And that's why you don't give yourself away easily. And then we have intuition here with gut feeling, psychic premonition, and sixth sense. So they do feel like you're very psychic. You're very in tune. You're tapped in. Like you're aware of things that are going on. And I feel like that's also telling, like, you're aware of things that are going on with other people. And that you are healing. And we got that with the moon, right? Healing wounds, improving, mending, and and progress. So they know that it's just a part of the process, is you overcoming this, and that you'll garner the inner strength in order to overcome this. But they also want to be a part of that with you. And maybe they haven't said this to you, but I do feel like there's going to be something where they do come forward and say something soon. Or eventually they will say something. Okay, this one wants to come out. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Pile 2. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Pile 2. All right. On the bottom, we have the runner. Okay, this makes sense, right? That's that energy. Fear of intimacy, running away, intensity and letting go, and turmoil and fleeting. So the fear of intimacy is very clear here. This is a very clear energy. That's what they secretly thought of when they first saw you, is that you had a fear of intimacy, which is why they're thinking, oh, this must be an ex. It's hard for them to open up, to be intimate, to be vulnerable, right? Vulnerability is intimacy. It doesn't, and I think that's the thing, like, everybody's so caught up on intimacy having to be physical, but it's not necessarily physical. I mean, sure, that's a part of it, but, you know, intimacy is spiritual, emotional, and mental connection as well. So it's being able to hold a conversation with somebody and sharing parts of yourself, being able to open up emotionally and open your heart, you know, being able to grow spiritually with one another. These are all very intimate acts that we can have with another person. And that's what they're considering here. They are very attracted to you for sure. They do think that you're a very attractive person. I feel like they also feel like you're very magnetic to people. What else, source? Can I get one more of these for pile number 2? What did they secretly think when they first saw pile number 2? This one. Thank you. Okay, on the bottom of the deck, we've got, yeah, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. So this could be someone that is going to turn into a romantic partner with you. And that's why I feel like they're taking their time. They just want to go slow and steady. They don't want to scare you away, especially with the runner. Like, you could have been a chaser at some point in your life. And, you know, we get so caught up on chaser runner energy only being connected with a certain title or with a certain label, and it's not. Chaser runner energy is something that we've all exhibited throughout our lives, and sometimes we'll go from being a chaser to being a runner because we got so tired of being a chaser, and now we're just like, no, I just don't even want to try, and so I'm going to run away from everything, right? And the same thing with runners. They get so tired of running that now they become a chaser. And so I feel like this person is very emotionally stable, and they don't want to put you in that anxiety or that fear where you could potentially run away. They don't want to push you away. If it is safe for you to love, open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. So yeah, they want you to be able to open your heart to them and know that they're not going to take advantage of you. They are going to be a safe space for you, but I feel like it's just a very slow process overall. So we have Aries energy, independent, passion, and bravery. Okay, so again, they want you to be able to use that bravery, especially with the cardinal energy. They want you to be able to use that bravery to help you connect deeper with people. So we have luck is on your side with the new moon in Sagittarius. Yeah, you're a lucky person, a very stable, grounded, abundant person. You have a lot of prosperity, and that's not necessarily material prosperity, but it could be. But I feel like they're more interested in your emotional prosperity, your spiritual prosperity, your mental prosperity, right? Like they want to see all of that. Gemini and full moon in Gemini with the answers you need are coming. Yeah, so I do feel like they are going to communicate with you about this. Like, they're going to tell you how they feel about you, and they're going to say, you know, like, I want you to know that I'm a safe space for you. They're definitely going to say that to you, or something along those lines. Like, they're going to extend an opportunity for you here. We have idyllic memories, peace and tranquility. They want to be this place where you can come and share every part of yourself without fear of judgment, without fear of retribution. Okay? Mystery. Yeah, exactly. So this is a very clear message. Unknown, enigma, illusion, and confusing. Yeah, so they think that you are a mystery. There's something about you that's very mysterious. old school, outdated thinking, conditioning, replaying events over in your head. Yeah, so they feel like this is that old school energy coming in, which is why it's hard for you to open up the way that, you know, not they don't expect anything from you. They want you to know that they're a safe space. And so I do feel like they do make actions, or they say things, and they leave space for you to be who you are. And I feel like you're slowly getting used to that and opening up, but there's still a part of you that's like, yeah, they're just gonna wait until I'm ready, and then they're gonna use it against me, right? But that's not at all what this person thinks. That's not. They really do want to be a safe space for you. Yeah. Soulmates, soul connection, partnership, soul contract, and a life partner, especially with like, this could be the one. Yeah. So they really have long-term goals for you guys in their mind, and they've been secretly thinking about this since they first saw you even, and they were really attracted to you. But this is, again, it could even be friendships, but this is something they're there for. This is a ride or die, right? This is somebody that's going to be there through thick and thin. 2 peas in a far out pod, y'all. Healthy choices, self-love, self-care, being happier, love, and life. Yeah, so they want you to know that they're a healthy choice. They've also done a lot of growth. They've also done a lot of healing. They've overcome a lot with themselves as well. And I feel like if you ask them any personal questions, like ones that you even might have a hard time sharing about yourself, they'll answer to open up that safe space. They'll be vulnerable first, so that gives you the okay to be vulnerable too. So it's like, this is somebody who's a reciprocal energy. And if you give them sensitive information, they're going to give you sensitive information too, as a means of showing you that they're not here to just use this against you, but they're very aware of something about you that maybe you don't even recognize yourself. Forgiving and learning. Look at that. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. Yeah, so forgiving and learning from the past, right? And then we have getting to know each other. I love this. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. Yeah, so as you keep getting more and more vulnerable with each other, you guys are creating a very foundational bond with one another. But I do feel like there's still that fear there. You're afraid this person's going to disappear, or they're going to use it against you. And I feel like they're coming through saying, like, I've known that since the beginning, and I'm patient. I'm patient with you. Like, I'm ready to allow you to create the rhythm upon which we decide to unfold this connection. But I want you to know that I'm a safe space for you. And that's what they've been doing this whole time. So they've definitely been attracted to you since the beginning. They feel like you're somebody that they can go the distance with, whether that's a romantic connection or friendship. This is somebody who wants to be in your life because they want to know you. They like you. They like you as you are. All your goofball self, your antics, your weird moments, your beautiful moments. They like you. And they think that you're this well-rounded, multifaceted person that is intriguing, interesting, a mystery, somebody that they want to get to know better, okay? So I do have to look at this card off of the camera to make sure that it is camera appropriate. So we're going to take a look at this. Yeah, okay. So we have winter sowing. Okay, this is what the card looks like. So... I'm going to use your card, your fluorite here, and I'm going to cover that up. Yeah, I feel like this is the thing. Winter sowing, like sowing seeds when the ground is frozen, right? Like thinking about that. It's like you're frozen in time, right? And I go back in time. What is that, a Back to the Future song? Yeah, so it's like that's what they feel like. You're frozen in time right now, but they're still willing to plant the seeds in the hard soil because eventually the ground will soften. And even when the ground softens, then the nurturing can begin. And so they're still willing to go through the difficult moments in order to create a fertile, abundant, safe place for you to grow. And so no matter how long that takes, they're waiting for the ground to soften. They're waiting for you to soften. And it's okay. Like, this is not somebody who's going to get tired of waiting for you to soften. I feel like what's going to eventually happen is that they're going to be where they've created so much of a safe space for you that you're just naturally going to unfold into that safety. But there's always going to be that fear that's there too. And the more that you unfold and recognize that this person's not trying to use that against you, the more that fear will ease. And that's going to be up to you how fast or how slow that happens. Just know that they're not trying to rush you. Okay, that's not what they are, but they've definitely seen you as a mystery since they first saw you. They secretly think that you're somebody that is a beautiful person, has an amazing soul, and they're very intrigued by you, and they're very grateful that they know you. It says, living better in these times will depend on observing which of my values have sprung from my heart and which were implanted by social institutions. We are systematically influenced to deviate from our purpose and programmed to be ruthless competitors, turning us into products of manipulation. Wow, what a line. It says, it is up to me alone to look at this social structure in truth and to rethink how I will benefit from this journey of life. A life based on pointless consumption is an unfulfilled life. To find that fullness and autonomy, it is necessary for me to study without being immersed in books or hoarding more information, but rather studying the best way to live in harmony with myself and all the beings who inhabit this planet. The time has come for reason to become an advisor to my feelings. Yeah, so being an advisor to your feelings, being vulnerable. Today I begin to plant the seeds of a successful future, a future whose fruits I may neither see nor taste, but which next generations will be able to harvest. Prioritize. I am aware that I have the ability to ignore or discredit those feelings which cause inconvenience or go against the status quo. Subconsciously, I'm turning a blind eye to my community. To the truth of avoiding. I am turning a blind eye to the truth to avoid addressing the problems of my actions or my community. I am aware that I have the ability to feel the right path and to see the truth clearly. Today, I can choose to be in tune again with my inner guidance for the good of my soul and for the well-being of all other souls around me. Today, I feel with my head and think with my heart. It's a good time. Heaven is open and the earth supports me. Yeah, so this is just about you being able to open up, but I feel like more than anything, like they see how valuable you are as a person, as a soul. They know they've never met anybody like you before, and you have them completely enamored with who you are. And this is not like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with them type of enamor. Like, this is, I'm enamored with you because you're unlike anybody I've ever met, and you're intriguing, you're interesting, you're different, you are funny, you're silly, you're deep. You have all these things about you that I never even knew a person could have, and I want to get to know more about that. And they really just like you as you. And what a powerful thing to be liked as who you are, not for what you have to offer to somebody, but just for you being you, right? What a relief. And that's exactly where they're at. What a beautiful reading. So this is what I see for you here today, pile number 2. If you feel like this is your reading, leave a little, is there an acorn emoji? I think there is. Leave the little acorn emoji down below and say, even though I have been through dark times, I know that the right people and the right situations are finding me now so that I can live the life of my dreams. And if it resonated, it would mean so much to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. With that, I would like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this beautiful message today. And until next time, pile number 2, stay human. Bye. Hello, my fellow human. If you were drawn to this dice with a moon on it, or perhaps you felt called to this rock, Or maybe you were drawn to this card during the shuffle. This is going to be a reading on what did they secretly think when they first saw you. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks so much for joining us. We are all here sharing this human experience together. I do things differently here on this channel, so there might be triggering statements that do arise on the readings themselves. There's no obligation to force it to fit, while keeping in mind that triggers can be a beautiful blueprint for us to deepen our healing journey. If the messages happen to resonate, it would mean the world to me if you were to like, comment, and subscribe below. And your time, your energy, and your presence are a true gift and a blessing today, and I'm deeply honored to be here sharing it with you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop to it and find out what did they secretly think when they first met you. Pile number 3. What did they secretly think when they first met you? Source, what would you like to share with pile 3 today? You know, I'm getting really anxious for some reason. Like overly anxious about being who I am or being seen as who I am right now. And that's this feeling that's coming. It's like really strong. And I feel like that's something that they secretly thought when they first saw you, is they were really, really afraid of being seen for who they are. They could have put on a mask. I mean, we'll definitely dig into it, but that's something that's just like, my heart is racing right now. I feel super nervous. I feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like, it's a really interesting energy coming in, and I feel like it's really, really strong. And they could have been really afraid to approach you. They could have been really afraid to talk to you, or maybe they stuttered when they talked to you, or they tripped over their words, or they were making like weird noises, or they were just unable to say a clear-cut sentence. They were just unable to communicate clearly with you. I feel like it's because they were just really nervous of you seeing their truth. Like, they felt like there was something about them that you wouldn't like, or that a reason for you to turn away. Like, and I don't feel like it's anything terrible or anything like that. I just feel like they think that it's terrible. You know, like, so our past, sometimes we think our past is so terrible that it's a reason for people to not like us. And that is just our making mountains out of molehills type energy, where we look at it and we're like, oh, that's a perfect reason for someone to hate me for going through that. Or that's a perfect reason for someone to dislike me or judge me for going through that. And oftentimes it has to do with things that were completely out of our control that we experienced. And you know, if people are judging us because of things that we've experienced, and those are definitely not the people for us. But I don't feel like you're like that. I feel like this is just something that they're fearful of, because maybe they've been judged by that before. Yeah. They like you a lot, for sure. Like, they do feel like, you know, they want to date you. They want to come forward and offer you something. They also, this energy where they feel like you're out of their league. We've got the 5th house Aquarius and Jupiter energy. So they secretly, when they saw you, they secretly thought that you were out of their league. But there's something very unique about you that keeps drawing them in. You're very friendly, you're very outgoing, you're easy to talk to, you're easy to flirt with. You're in touch with your inner child. You're very abundant. And there's so much positive energy around you. And that could be it too. Like, maybe they feel like they're a monster, or they feel like, you know, they've made some really bad choices in their past. And like, what would somebody who's so positive and beautiful and high vibrational like you, what would you ever see in them? But they can't help but be drawn to you. They did secretly think that you were somebody that they could date, or that they would want to date for sure. I just feel like they're just really nervous. They're just really nervous about approaching you, and they're really nervous about saying anything to you. What they see is somebody who's well-rounded, who's well-traveled, who has a lot of unique ideas, who's very well-known by people, who is unorthodox, you stand out. You're like a brilliant star and you stand out, and they have noticed it from the get-go. This is someone who maybe when you talk to them, they like lose sight of what they're trying to say because they're so enamored by you, or they're really drawn and attracted to you. All right, let's get some energies out some more. We'll see what comes through. What did they secretly think when they first met you, pile 3? Or when they first saw you? What did they secretly think when they first saw you? What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Okay, one more. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety coming through here. Like they want to be a person in your life. They want to have, you know, an ability to talk to you like that, but they're just fraught with anxiety. Something is leaving them unable to take action, immobilized. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Yeah. Definitely very attracted to you romantically. What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Yeah. Oh. Interesting that this would come out. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. We have the 4 of coins in the reverse. Yeah. So, like, they're very attracted to you. Okay, like, very, very attracted to you. They are romantically drawn to you. And they've imagined a lot of things happening with you. And at the same time, they've put you on this massive pedestal, and they don't feel like they're worthy of you at all. Like, they feel like you have so much to offer the world. Like, what would you ever see in them? And, you know, it's not you. This isn't you that's done this to them. It's just they have made you into somebody that you're not. And they're just like, you know, like, oh, even if I talk to pile 3, like, they would never want anything to do with me. And so they are romantically frustrated when it comes to you, because they have convinced themselves of some certain scenario playing out, which has left them completely immobilized and unable to actually take action towards you. And they are afraid, and they're just like, they're in this state of instability right now, and they want more than anything to be able to ask you out to coffee, to dinner, to lunch, to breakfast, whatever it is. They want desperately to ask you out, but every bone in their body is filled with anxiety when it comes to you, because they just feel like you deserve somebody that's better than them. There's something about their past. Like, they could have been a player in their past. They could have cheated on somebody in their past. They could have, you know, they've made some really harsh decisions for themselves in their past. And, you know, their past was their past. It's over with. But I feel like they've done a lot of growing and healing, but they just feel like whatever they did in their past, or whoever they were in their past, what they secretly thought when they first saw you is that you would want nothing to do with them because of their past. And that makes sense to them, right? That makes sense to them, because it's like, maybe they would not want to do anything with somebody that has a past like them, right? They'd be like the first ones to bounce out. They'd be like, oh no, I can't put up with that. Like, I just am completely turned off by that, or it's just not something that I would ever put up with. But also, I feel like, you know, they really are attracted to you, but I do feel like somebody broke their heart. And I feel like that's why they're putting you on a pedestal, because there's this feeling like, I'm not worthy of having somebody like pile 3 in my life, let alone having them as, you know, a romantic connection. But they do spy on you. They watch you. But every time they watch you, they just see you keep growing. And they're waiting, and almost like if they're praying for the day that you find a person, and that way they can just have this self-fulfilling prophecy, like, oh, see, I told you, like, there's somebody so much better out there for them than me. This is somebody who overthinks things so much. They're very self-deprecating. Like, they're not very kind to themselves at all. And they fight with a lot of this internal energy. Like, it's like if somebody broke their heart in the past, which we do see with both the Knight of Wands and the Four of Wands in the reverse here, it's like somebody really, really, really hurt them, and they're saying, well, the reason they hurt me is because I'm not worthy of good things. I'm not deserving of good things. This is somebody who just is really unkind to themselves, and they couldn't even imagine somebody loving them. They couldn't imagine somebody being kind back to them. They couldn't imagine somebody saying, oh, you're an amazing person. Like, they just can't. And so they're very negative in that sense, and they just, every time people, like, they push people away, and so when people actually stay away, to them, that's just cementing those feelings they have about themselves. Like, see, they don't want anything to do with me anyways. Why would they? I wouldn't want anything to do with me. I hate that I have to deal with myself. Like, that's the type of energy they have for themselves. And when they first saw you, that escalated for them because you were like a dream come true for them, and they really like you so much. They want to be able to say hello to you. They want to be able to talk to you. And I feel like if they have talked to you, like, they've kept it very surface level, because their biggest fear is that you're going to discover something about them that's really going to close the doors between the two of you. And that's not, they would just rather be there from a distance than to have those doors completely closed. Like, if those doors closed, that would just be awful for them. And I feel like if you've ever heard them be self-diminishing, like, maybe you've told them, like, hey, you're a great person. Like, you have a beautiful heart. Like, you shouldn't be so hard on yourself. Like, they've held on to that, but they're just like, oh, that's because pile 3 is so incredible. Like, they see the good in everybody. So naturally they would see the good in me, even if it doesn't exist. Like, they're not, again, it's not you. They're not saying like, oh, like, yeah, that's just pile 3. Like, no, they're seeing it as that's a part of your beauty. That's a part of your love that you extend to others. Like, you're always going to see the good in everybody, no matter what they do. But also, they just feel like at the same time, because they are so hard on themselves, that if you understood their past, or if you knew anything about their past, that you would be equally hard on them. And then there's this feeling like, even if you weren't, they would fear, right? Again, with the 8 of Swords here, they would fear that you'd be secretly thinking that to yourself. Like, oh, like, I can't believe that they did that. And so they settle being unstable and supporting you, cheering you on, being there for you from a distance. But more than anything, this person wants to date you. Like, it's wild how much they feel that for you. Like, they really want to date you. They really want to ask you for things to go to the next step. Like, they really want to have a deeper conversation with you. But fear of being discovered is outweighing that desire right now. I mean, eventually the desire could win. I just feel like this person has a long way to grow right now to see themselves as worthy of love. But I feel like it's just, this person is just really in a negative energy right now. And I feel like that's because somebody really broke their heart. I feel like somebody just really kicked them to the curb and made them feel like they didn't matter. You know what this feels like? Yeah. Okay. This feels like somebody who is dealing with a narcissist. They had a narcissistic ex, and that narcissist threw them away, right? Like, when a narcissist throws us away and we're really emotionally involved with the narcissist, again, that's a tactic of the narcissist to gain control and power over us. And when we're not ready emotionally or mentally for that, even though we might be praying for that freedom, when we're not ready, it completely destroys us. And we oftentimes go crawling back into those situations because we weren't ready to be just abandoned like that. And I feel like that's exactly what this person has experienced in their life. Like they've been abandoned by someone that was a narcissist that they were in love with, right? And there's no judgment. Like we have to honor how we feel or how other people are feeling about certain people in their lives, even if they are toxic. We might not recognize what unconditional love is at some parts of our lives, but if we got involved with a narcissist, it's safe to say that there's a part of us that was in love with this person. Whether that was shallow love or a depth of love, it doesn't matter. It's just that a part of us was in love with that person, which is why a part of us stayed with that person way past our welcome, right? And so I feel like this is somebody who loves very deeply. I mean, like, this is somebody who's also an empath. This could be a Leo, like Leo energy, really heavy coming in here. They could also be a Scorpio, or they could be an Aries or a Capricorn, a Gemini, or a Libra or an Aquarius, okay? So this is somebody who loves very deeply, and they have a hard time detaching themselves from the people they're in love with. So, wow, that's really loud. I apologize. Hold on just a second. Okay. So this is that energy where and you guys might hear some background noise, and that's just because my family's home, and so they're in the back, and sometimes it filters out here, so I can't do anything about that. But this is that energy where it's like they love so deeply they lose themselves, and they lost themselves in a past situation. And so when they met you, you were everything they could have ever hoped for a person to exist in this world like you did. Like, I feel like there's a point in time in their life when they prayed for somebody like you to come into their lives. But now that you've come into their lives, like, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to proceed in a way where they can stay connected with you while at the same time not feeling this deep sense of fear that they're going through. Okay, and that fear is something that has become completely overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. It's loud, it's obnoxious, it's insane how much this fear is running their lives. And again, if they were tossed aside, that's what they're in the place of abandonment, and so they need constant assurance. And even if this person was to come forward right now, that constant assurance that you could potentially give them would only be exhausting. And I feel like that's the thing. It's not, again, it's not because they're not worthy of it. It's not because they're not a good person. It's just that they're in that state of not being able to self-regulate. And so that's something that maybe your energy is going to help them find it within themselves, and maybe not. Like, maybe it's just something that they have to go through right now, right? And you are just a part of the story right now. Scorpio energy. Yeah, so we have intensity, exposing, purging, and renewing. So they could be a Scorpio. Scorpio moon is coming in really strongly as well, or Scorpio rising. Scorpio and Venus, and Scorpio in the 4th house. And that might resonate with you. But yeah, there's like, meeting you is exposed this fear, and it's bringing it into the conscious of their awareness. And before, they were being run by this fear subconsciously. And now that it's in their conscious, their awareness, it's like it's taking them down this rabbit hole, and they have the choice to move on from that, or they have the choice to let that continue to be a running part in their lives. And they're going to have to make a choice for themselves, right? Like, that at the end of the day, no matter how they think about you, no matter how they feel about you, like, they have to make a choice for themselves. There's nothing that you can do about that. Excuse my torch. This is my lighter. But that's hard, right? Like, that's really hard, because oftentimes I feel like this is somebody who their life, their ups and downs, their everything revolved around how the other person was feeling, especially if they were in a narcissistic relationship. But just in general in life, like, this is somebody who relied on other people to tell them how they were feeling. And they don't know how to feel by themselves, and now they're learning how to feel by themselves, and that's a very scary step into healing, right? Like learning how to feel by yourself, learning how to understand your emotions when you've only ever let other people tell you how you should and shouldn't feel. On the bottom, yeah, we have the 10th house, structure, discipline, life mission, accomplishments, and career. So this could be someone that you work with. This could be someone you met at work. This could be someone you met online. Someone you met while doing your purpose, sharing your purpose. That's how you connected, was through, through your purpose. Okay, I have a few new decks that I'm bringing out today, and if you're wondering what they are, I do talk about them in the intro. So, what did they secretly think when they first saw you? I feel like this person is really good at giving compliments, but they're afraid that if they give too many, that's going to give you a green light to talk to them. And in talking to them, you're going to demand them to show up in a deeper way, and they can't do that. And so they definitely keep it to a minimum for their own protection. This is to keep their emotional ego wrapped in a blanket, right? And that's what it is right now. They're just very emotional. It's unfortunate because underneath this fear, I can tell that this is a very genuine, kind person. They have a lot to offer, but they just don't see themselves as somebody that's worthy of anything good. Yeah, look at this. The South Node. Don't let your past hold you back. Yeah, so, right, their past is what's keeping them rooted in place, stagnant, completely unable to move forward. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? Pile number 3. What did they secretly think? Thank you. Look at this. Relationship repeat. Shift, release, or enjoy. So this is it, right? They can either enjoy the fact that you're different, that you're everything that they've ever wanted. They can release their past, or they can shift. But the thing is that they're repeating a situation, they're repeating a circumstance that they were in before. And that's their emotions are leading them. Wow, something missing, yeah. So we have intimacy or fertility issues. Like they just have a hard time getting close to people because they're so afraid of getting hurt. And it's not that they feel like you would hurt them. They just feel like it would be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they've like convince themselves that of course you would see good in them, but you would see good in them only to such a certain extent. And then at that point, you wouldn't want anything to do with them just like everybody else in their lives. Right? What did they secretly think of you when they first saw you? Pile number 3. One more source. Okay, thank you. On the bottom of this deck, we have intense. Wow. The intensity of true soul connection includes great highs and great lows. So it's very intense, but they feel like they're broken. Right? This is a broken mirror here, broken glass. It's like they feel like they're broken. It's intense. We have that intensity and exposing. So everything about you is ask them to look at themselves, and it's not that they are mad at you or anything about that. This is somebody who's just so afraid to look in the mirror and open their eyes and see what they see. Like they're just afraid of that. Like it wouldn't surprise me if this is somebody who rarely looks at themselves in the mirror. This is somebody who rarely contemplates themselves. Like this is somebody who rarely does self-reflection because their day-to-day is filled with the emotional highs and lows, right? The highs and lows of everybody around them. And they feel safe riding that wild emotional roller coaster because it keeps them from actually having to look at themselves. And I feel like the fear is that they're going to look at themselves and they're going to be right, that they're not worthy of love, right? Which is the emotional ego that's speaking, right? That is, of course, the emotional ego at play. But they don't want to find out that that's the truth because they really do care about you. They really do like you a lot. They wish they could be in your life. Okay. Interesting. So on the bottom of the deck, we do have text messages, communication, news, phone call, direct message. So they do keep things to a minimum. If they do contact you, right, they do keep things to a minimum. I feel like it's not common for them to reach out every day. We have proposal, love offer, engagement, agreement, wish come true. You're their wish come true. This is what they secretly thought of when they first saw you. You're the wish come true. They want to give you this love offer, but right now they're being forced into a situation where they have to heal. And they know they have to heal because there's no way, right? There's no way they could ever get to you if they don't heal. But again, they're fearing their healing process. Like they feel inspired by you because of everything that you've overcome and what you've done. And they think that you're an absolute marvel. How did you overcome the things that you've overcome? Maybe you've helped them face parts of themselves as well. But there's still this just huge fear that is more prevalent than anything else. We have coffin, new beginnings, liberation, reborn, transitions, tragic endings. Yeah. So they went through something that was very tragic. And I do feel like this person was in love with somebody who's very manipulative, emotionally and spiritually, even mentally. Could have been physically as well. But they used them and then they threw them away like they meant nothing. And that was the end of the world for this person, because even though what they had was bad, it was still something. And having something is better than having nothing. And that's where they're coming from, right? It's not that that's the truth. That's just the illusion that they've convinced themselves of. And maybe that's the illusion that they were raised to believe by family. Maybe that is just what society has taught them. But they're very much struggling with that. Yeah, ship. So we have cutting ties, moving on, receive what you need, progression and arriving. So this is something here was moved on, something here moved on, or something here was cutting ties. I feel like you've had to move on. I feel like you are definitely kind when they communicate with you, when they reach out. And I also feel like if you were romantically interested in them, that might not be the case now, because again, the communication is very sparse. And so it just might be like you realize like, oh, this could be a good friend to have in my life, but I just don't think it'll ever go further than that, because they're the ones who put on the brakes. Okay, thank you. What did they secretly think when they first saw you? What did they secretly think when they first saw you? One more, source said. Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, so we have a bunch of these that flipped over. So we'll take a look at these. So we have keep an open mind. Your soulmate may differ from your usual type and expectations. And I feel like that's true. Like, I feel like you're different than anybody that they've ever had in their lives. But I do feel like the last relationship that they were in was maybe like what they thought was a forever relationship. Like they expected to spend their life with this person. It's not that they were happy with this person. It's just that sometimes when you feel like you're with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life to, and you surrender into that, even if it's toxic, like there's a part of you that basically disappears, right? And it's not that it disappears, it just gets so buried deep down underneath everything. It's like I'm putting this part of me to rest. The part of me that's protesting this, or the part of me that doesn't want to be here, the part of me that's unhappy. And I'm okay with burying that somewhere deep inside of me, because I can at least lean into something that's familiar, right? And our healing asks us to look at what is familiar, and is it something that's actually good for us? But they just kind of resigned to what was familiar. And when they saw you, it was like, oh my gosh, that's everything I ever wanted. Like, I want to be able to go up to pile 3 and say, hey, let's go on a date. Let's do something. Let's go. Let's meet. Let's talk. Let's do something. But I'm struggling to do that, because if I ever lost pile 3 100% in my life, then that would just be the end for me. So we have healing family issues. Your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Yeah, so definitely they're facing family issues. They could have a family with this past person as well. We have heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. This is what they're struggling to do. They're struggling to have that heart-to-heart with you. And then on the bottom, make the effort. Yeah, great love is worth taking the steps you're guided to take. They're just struggling right now. And that's the thing, I feel like it's like you've definitely opened the door for them. If this is somebody you were interested in, I do feel like you left that door wide open. I feel like you invited them in. You're like, yeah, come on in, you know, like let's sit down and have a cup of tea. Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. Come on in, you know. And they were like, no, that's cool. I'll just stand out here and observe you from a distance. And you were like, oh, okay. And I feel like you left that door open so long that it got cold outside and you finally had to close the door because it was just like, I just can't leave the door open, you know? And that's what it feels like here. It's just like you went out of your way to be the person that you always are to everybody, yes, but that's so natural to you. You see the good in people, yes, but it's not a bad thing. And it's not you doing it just from the kindness of your heart. You're doing it because you feel something genuine about this person. But then every time you do that, like it's almost like if they get feedback from you, they retreat after they receive feedback from you because it makes them feel good. But that high, it doesn't last. It doesn't last because it's like then they start overthinking. The minute they start overthinking, whatever it was that you said gets overruled by their overthinking. Look at this. New moon in Libra. New romantic cycle begins. Weighing the options. Right? That's the thing. It's like they do see you as a romantic option. For sure. They do. They see you as an end game. But right now, they're just not in a position where they can come forward and say something. Prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. Yeah, so I feel like right now it's just you having to take care of yourself and focus on yourself and then let them do what they're doing without you being a part of that. Feelings. Yeah, this came out in another pile too. It says take time out to explore the deep emotions you're experiencing. I feel like they just need time to understand what it is that they're going through. And, you know, there's no saying, oh, it's only going to take a day or it's going to take a week or it's going to take 6 months or it's going to take a year or 10 years. You know, there's no saying. It's just, this is what they're being asked to do right now is to understand their feelings. They're taking to explore those feelings that they're having. And again, that's going to take however long it takes. But what Source is saying is don't put your life on hold for this person. And no, it's not about self-fulfilling prophecy for them. It's just that they're given an option. And we all are given an option. And sometimes we're ready to take that option and sometimes we're not. Sometimes we'll close the door ourselves, which is what it feels like they did when it came to you. You know, instead of maybe you leaving it open, maybe they just grabbed the handle and they closed it and said, oh, no, I can't do that. Let me close the door. You know, let's not let the draft out or the draft in, right? Let's not let the cold air out or let's not let the hot air in or let's not let the cold in, you know, whatever it is. Boundaries. Having sensible boundaries is important. Yeah. And so keeping boundaries. And I feel like boundaries with this person is just, you know, be who you are with them, but don't overextend yourself when it comes to this person. Because I feel like every time you overextend yourself, if you've done that in the past with this person, like, of course they love it. And of course they appreciate it so much. But it's also sends them into fits of overthinking, which it would do if it wasn't you, right? It would be anybody. If anybody compliments them, they go into fits of overthinking. If, you know, somebody supports them, they go into fits of overthinking. And so this is just something that they're at. And so it's just important for you to have boundaries for yourself. Not to get too dragged in too deep when it comes to them. Yeah, they really, really like you. Oh my gosh, they really like you. Romantic feelings, falling in love, affection, happiness, and emotions. But what they're feeling right now, that Scorpio energy, is just so deep. It's too overwhelming for them. Divine intervention. Yeah, so this is a catalyst to their wow, I was going to say supernatural. To their supernatural. This is a catalyst. This is a catalyst to their spiritual awakening. The love that they feel for you is a catalyst to them choosing themselves for once, which they don't know how to do. And so they're on this precipice right now, and there's nothing that you can do to sway them one way or the other, because they've been so good at balance. They're like, basically, they'll pull a matrix and they'll lay all the way down, balancing on that thing, and they'll still stand back up no matter what you say or do, right? So this is them having to choose for themselves to get off on one side or the other, to take the fork in the road. But they have to choose the fork in the road. We can't choose that for them. Yeah, talking, interested, awaiting messages, text, calls, email, and talking more. And we got text message from the other deck too. So this does feel like, I mean, they want to talk to you. They're interested in you. They want to connect with you. They want to communicate with you. But right now, things are very sparse. They're very sparse because they're having a hard time. They're having a hard time facing these romantic feelings. They've always had a hard time facing these romantic feelings. Yeah, so there's separation here. Sadness and bitterness, thinking about you, missing you, uncertain future. Yeah, so separation at the forefront here, right? Like, that's really powerful. I feel like that's why it feels like maybe you're in a separation, because when they do talk, it's like one message and then you don't hear from them for forever. Or maybe they've ghosted you along the way, but I just feel like even when you guys were talking, it was just very minimal, like a lot of breadcrumbs. No matter how much you care about this person, it's just that they have to go through their journey. Codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life, yeah. So you might have been drawn to another pile as well. And also, if you've decided to watch all 3 piles with me, leave a purple heart down below. That's part of my Purple Heart Club. I know what that means. And I just want to say thank you to anybody who spends any amount of time with me on these readings. It's truly a blessing. But I just feel like they're dealing with their own codependency issues. Again, if they've had a really bad narcissist in the past, somebody who cheated on them, somebody who used them, abused them, threw them away, like they're still just in this place where they're like, of course I deserved being treated like that. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. And I feel like they can't see their own good. And that's just from that codependency that they've experienced. They could have also had very narcissistic parents growing up, and their praise that they received was dependent on, you know, whether they got good grades or whether they were appeasing their parents. And then every other time, they were very conditional love, and that conditioned them to believe that they were only good if they ever made good choices or had good things happening in their life. And because that's not something that's constant, because that's not human life, right? It's not constant, then they're believing that there's something wrong with them, and that's why they're not worthy of love, right? And so that's why they're struggling with this. But I want to take a look at this card. We're going to read this from the book. I do have to look at this off camera to make sure that it is camera appropriate. So let's take a look here. Yeah, this one is. I am. So they see you as this very powerful person, and they've secretly thought since they met you that you're incredibly powerful. You're an inspiration. You have helped them in a lot of ways, and they want you in their life. But there's also something about where they just see you as somebody that has this energy that's so overwhelming that, you know, they're just grateful to bask in the vibration of your light. That's enough for them. So this person may never get brave enough to come forward and ask you out, and others of them will be brave enough to come forward and ask you out. I just feel like they're just grateful that they met you. It says, in this holographic reality, we function like mirrors. I mirror you, you mirror me. I look into my mirror, I look at you, I look at myself. Isn't that wild? Didn't I say that this person may not look in the mirror? Didn't I say that on your pile 3? What the heck? That's wild. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Source. I can clearly see myself when I observe you. The outside acts as a mirror for my mind, where I see different qualities of my own essence, of my most primitive self, reflected. I grew up in a fragmented society that made me believe in not being enough, not being valuable, not being capable. This energy is so palpable here. It's just like I could cut it with a steak knife. It's so thick how this person feels. Like the anxiety I was feeling when we first started the reading, like it was overwhelming, like feeling like I'm not good enough, I shouldn't be doing this. I was so tapped in, I felt it as if it was me. And I can't imagine, like, I mean, I've lived in that before, but like to live in that high anxiety energy constantly, this person is suffering in so many ways, and there's no way to bring them down from their anxiety. Like, this is something they have to choose to do for themselves. I often believed that I had a broken wing, and with the intense card, we said that they felt like they were broken. And with a broken wing, she carries her dreams, and you ought to see her fly. Who sings that? That's a Martina McBride song, I think. Come Sunday morning, she didn't go to church. He wondered why she didn't leave. He went up to the bedroom, found a note by the window, with the curtains blowing in the breeze. Yeah, in that song it talks about, like, she leaves a really broken situation, this really abusive situation. And even though she has a broken wing, she's still choosing to fly. And that's the thing. It's like they're feeling broken right now, but they're not yet ready to jump out the window, right? Like not in any crazy way like that, but like to spiritually jump out the window, to spiritually take the fall, right? To be the fool. They're not in that energy yet. I think that's a Martina McBride song. Whoa. The aspect of society is also my mirror, a very useful one, which encourages me to take care of myself in harmful situations. It makes me appreciate life and see it from another perspective. It gives me an opportunity to educate and expand my version of reality. I now see that not being is an illusion, is a veil based on a mistaken belief system and a projection of inherited fears. I pause and look at you again. I look at myself again. Seeing a spectrum of light and shadow, I assimilate the information received and weigh it up. When I look at myself through harsh, closed, or authoritative mirrors, I have the opportunity to review my own violence, to set limits, to express myself, and to let go as necessary. I always deserve love. When I connect with sweeter, more loving and compassionate mirrors, I'm filled with peace, connection to life and to my purpose. Because our humanity is in essence pure love, and that is one of my most beautiful reflections. I am. The act of observing says more about the observer than about what is observed. Silence. I rest in silence. Silence reveals the truth. From the silence, the answers spring. I am able to look beyond the story. I have told myself and observed my current situation clearly. Today I grow and heal with love. So ultimately, this person struggles to see themselves. They're so in love with you, and they're not realizing just yet that you are a reflection back to them. All the things that they love about you are the very same things that are within themselves that they have yet to discover. And they're just struggling, but since they've met you, since they saw you for the first time, they have been in love with you, romantically in love with you, romantically wanting to have something with you, wanting to ask you out, wanting to be something valuable in your life, but are driven by fear right now. And that fear is just it's just overrunning their lives. And I feel like with Source saying the divine intervention here, you were a part of their awakening. You were a part of that awakening. And that's their choice of what they what they do with that information that they've gotten from you being that catalyst in their life, right? And it's unfortunate, like my heart is breaking for this person because they're going through so much and they don't see the good within them. And at the same time, it's just like, we understand no matter how much our heart breaks for a person, we cannot do the healing for them. Some of us have tried and we have all failed miserably, not because we couldn't do it, but because we realized that being in that state of trying to heal another person only enables that person to continue down the path they're on. And so I hope they wake up soon. I pray that they wake up soon. I pray that their heart is filled with love. And I pray more than anything that they find that they are worthy and they deserve love. And I feel like right now, watching you from a distance is something that helps them on their journey regardless, right? So whether that's online or wherever it is that they're watching you from in person, but watching you from a distance is helping their healing journey. So just keep being you, because you're an inspiration, pile 3, and you're reminding this person what love is. And that's something that they've needed for a long time. And there's nothing you need to do. Just be you. That's it. All you need to do is be you. And you're already doing an amazing job of that. Okay. Wow. So this is what I see here for you today. If you felt like this was your reading, leave the little red heart exclamation point down below and say, love is the most healing energy on the face of the earth. It has the ability to help reconnect us back to our whole selves and whole spirit. And if it resonated with you, it means so much to me if you're to like, comment, and subscribe below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you'll find everything you need in the description box. So that I'd like to take a moment to thank your guides, your spirit messengers, your angel source, and my spirit guides for coming together to give us this very intense message today. And until next time, pile number 3, stay human. Bye.